What if the most critical warning your body ever gives you isn't pain, but a sound you almost ignore? Here's something that might shock you. Did you know that studies, often cited in medical literature, reveal a staggering number of serious health conditions, particularly heart and brain diseases, often begin with subtle, strange signs that most people dismiss completely? It's terrifying, but true. In many of these cases, the first and sometimes only warning their body gave them was a sound. No pain, no swelling, no visible symptoms, just an unusual noise that most people brushed off as nothing. But here's the truth. Your body doesn't make strange sounds without reason, especially after 60, when your organs, joints, and nerves have experienced decades of wear and tear. These sounds aren't just quirks of getting older. They can be your first and sometimes final warning before something life-altering happens, like a stroke, a heart attack, or even total kidney shutdown. The science is clear. Paying attention can mean the difference between timely intervention and a devastating outcome. So, in this video, we're revealing the top 3 body sounds you should never ignore after 60. You'll learn exactly what each sound means, how to recognize it, and when it might signal something life-threatening. And trust me, you'll want to stick around until the end, because the number 1 sound is something most people have heard at least once, and they had no idea it could be a red flag for an emergency. Plus, we'll also reveal a very powerful natural drink you can start sipping today that has been shown to boost blood flow to the brain and even lower your risk of strokes and aneurysms. It's simple, affordable, and surprisingly delicious. Before we begin, let us know in the comments below where you're watching from. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more vital health information like this. Now, without any further ado, let's get started decoding these critical body sounds. Number 3. Wheezing while resting or during minor exertion. Think wheezing is just for colds or asthma. What if that whistle while you rest signals something deeper, like your heart struggling? Wheezing is that high-pitched whistling or rattling sound that typically happens when you breathe, usually more noticeable when you're breathing out, exhaling, but sometimes audible when inhaling too. For many people, this sound might seem like nothing more than an inconvenience, but respiratory doctors identify this as one of the most overlooked warning signs in people over 60. When you breathe, air should move silently through your airways. Any audible sound means something is partially blocking that natural flow. Now, some people might experience temporary wheezing during a bad cold or bronchitis, often accompanied by coughing and mucus. However, when wheezing is happening at rest or with minimal effort, especially if it's a new or worsening symptom after 60, it is a significant warning sign that requires prompt medical attention. A high-pitched wheeze, particularly when resting, often signals that smaller airways are narrowed or partially blocked, typically from conditions like asthma or chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD. What makes this particularly relevant after 60 is that many people develop late-onset asthma, mistakenly believing that asthma only begins in childhood. These are common causes, however. The sound pattern you should pay particular attention to is wheezing that occurs primarily when lying down or that wakes you from sleep. This specific pattern frequently indicates heart failure rather than lung disease, as fluid can accumulate in the lungs when you're horizontal, making breathing difficult. So, how can you distinguish normal breathing changes from concerning ones? Pay attention to the context. Temporary wheezing during a respiratory infection is usually less concerning than persistent sounds that occur during normal activities or at rest. A simple test. If you can't carry on a normal conversation without pausing to catch your breath, your breathing sounds need medical evaluation. Equally important is recognizing that new breathing sounds appearing with exertion, which weren't present before, suggest your cardiovascular system might be struggling to meet oxygen demands. The timing matters too. Morning respiratory noises clearing after being upright often indicate sinus drainage or reflux, while sounds worsening throughout the day may signal inflammatory conditions. Surprisingly, breathing sounds don't always originate in the lungs. Some begin in the throat or upper airways due to age-related muscle changes. If you've been attributing your breathing sounds to just getting older, consider this. While aging affects respiratory function, audible breathing almost always indicates something is wrong internally. Don't ignore persistent or unusual wheezing. Consult your doctor. Number 2, a sudden ringing, buzzing, or hissing in your ears. Tinnitus. That annoying ringing in your ears everyone seems to get? What if it's not just noise, but a potential SOS from your blood vessels or nerves? Let's talk about something almost everyone over 60 has experienced at least once. That sudden, high-pitched ringing in your ears that seems to come out of nowhere. It might last for a few seconds or linger for minutes, and most people brush it off. But that sound, called tinnitus, can be a sign of something much more serious than just aging. First, tinnitus isn't a disease itself, it's a symptom. What it's pointing to could range from minor to critical. At its most harmless, it can be caused by age-related hearing loss, exposure to loud noises over the years, or earwax buildup. But in some cases, especially if it comes on suddenly and only in one ear, or if it pulses with your heartbeat, it can be a warning of vascular issues like high blood pressure, atherosclerosis, hardening of the arteries, or even an aneurysm near the ear. Here's how. When blood vessels near your inner ear aren't functioning properly, turbulent blood flow can be created, which your ear perceives as sound. This is known as pulsatile tinnitus, and it often matches the rhythm of your heartbeat. If you ever hear a rhythmic pulsing or whooshing sound in one or both ears, pay close attention. That sound could be your body warning you about a serious cardiovascular problem like carotid artery disease or even an impending stroke. Other times, tinnitus is a red flag for nerve damage in the auditory pathway, often an early sign of permanent sensorineural hearing loss. The emotional toll of chronic tinnitus shouldn't be underestimated either, leading to sleep problems, anxiety, and depression. One of the most dangerous things about tinnitus is how normalized it's become. People over 60 often assume it's just part of aging, delaying diagnosis of underlying issues. If the sound comes with dizziness, a sense of fullness in the ear, or balance problems, it could point to Meniere's disease, an inner ear disorder. Rarely, it could signal a benign tumor called an acoustic neuroma. That's why tracking the pattern is critical. When does it happen? How long? One ear or both? Is it pulsing? These clues help your doctor. Never just chalk tinnitus up to noise, especially if it's new, one-sided, or pulsatile. Seek medical evaluation. Number 1. A sudden loud whoosh or popping sound in your head. The most alarming sound might be one you don't expect. A sudden pop or whoosh inside your head. No pain, maybe. But could it be an aneurysm or mini-stroke signaling disaster? Now, let's talk about the most critical and potentially terrifying sound your body can make after 60. It's not always painful, but it can be unforgettable. A sudden, loud pop or whoosh sound that seems to come from inside your head. Sometimes it's followed by a moment of silence, intense pressure, or a fuzzy sensation. People describe it as if something suddenly shifted or burst inside their skull. What makes this sound so scary isn't just the noise, but what it might signal. In many cases, this isn't a random nerve twitch. This internal sound could be the first sign of something far more dangerous. A mini-stroke, transient ischemic attack or TIA, a brain aneurysm leaking or rupturing, or a sudden spike in intracranial pressure. Here's how. As we age, brain blood vessels can weaken. Aneurysms, balloon-like bulges, can form silently. If a weak spot leaks or bursts, the first thing noticed might be that sudden internal pop or whoosh, the sound of blood escaping. It might last only a second, but what follows is telling. Confusion, head pressure, double vision, or one side of the face feeling different. But here's the terrifying catch. In the earliest stages, there might be no pain, only that sudden sound. This is why it gets ignored. People might dismiss it as an inner ear issue or their jaw cracking. However, if this sound is accompanied by any neurological symptoms, vision changes, difficulty speaking, sudden weakness or numbness, especially on one side, severe headache or dizziness, it's a medical emergency. This could mean a ruptured aneurysm, a hemorrhage, or a stroke. Immediate action is vital. Even without an aneurysm, sudden pressure shifts from hypertension spikes can cause similar sounds, especially when standing up, bending over, or turning the head quickly. In rare cases, it could be an arterial dissection, a tear in a blood vessel lining, which can lead to strokes. It can sometimes be confused with jaw or eustachian tube noises, especially with sinus issues or TMJ. But here's the difference. This sound often feels deeper, more internal, like it came from inside your brain, not your ears or jaw. If you've ever experienced this, even once, don't dismiss it. Tell your doctor, especially if you're over 60. They may recommend imaging, MRI, CT scan, to rule out serious issues. Catching these signs early can literally be the difference between effective treatment and a disastrous outcome. That sudden pop or whoosh might be the most important warning your body ever gives you. Now that you know these critical warning signs, let's talk about how you can naturally support your circulatory health and potentially prevent serious issues. Sounds that seem harmless can carry enormous meaning, often without pain as the first sign. But the good news is, now you know what to listen for. Don't ignore sounds that don't feel right. Notice the patterns and take action. What about prevention? Let's discuss a simple, natural drink that science suggests could boost your brain's circulation. As promised, let's discuss a powerful drink, beetroot juice. This isn't just a trend, there's solid science. Beets are rich in dietary nitrates, which your body converts into nitric oxide. Nitric oxide helps relax and widen blood vessels, improving blood flow, especially to critical areas like your brain. In fact, a study published in the peer-reviewed journal Nitric Oxide found that older adults who drank beetroot juice daily had increased blood flow to the frontal lobes, the brain region for memory, focus, and decision-making. This improved circulation may help reduce the risk of cognitive decline, stroke, and vascular dementia. How to prepare it? Wash and peel 1 to 2 medium beets. Chop them and blend with a cup of water or apple juice. Add lemon juice or a small piece of ginger for flavor and extra anti-inflammatory benefits. Drink it morning on an empty stomach, maybe 3 to 4 times a week. 1 glass can start supporting healthier arteries and brain function within hours. Pro tip: if raw beet juice is too strong, lightly steam the beets first. It slightly reduces nitrates but is easier on the stomach while still offering benefits. It's an easy, delicious way to protect your brain. Your body is talking. Are you listening? These sounds are potential clues, not definitive diagnoses. Has your body ever made a sound that scared you? Was it something serious or thankfully nothing? Share your experiences and opinions in the comments below. We'd love to hear them. Remember, always consult your healthcare provider about any concerning symptoms for proper diagnosis and guidance. If you found this information helpful and want to learn more about protecting your health as you age, check out our other videos on senior wellness and be sure to subscribe for more tips like these. Thanks for watching.